If you weren't able to buy a house in 2021, chances are you fixed to pursue that in 2022. But is it really a good time to buy a house? That's quite debatable. In today's video, we'll run through the risks of buying a house in 2022 and why waiting is your best bet. Before we get into it, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to help us beat the YouTube algorithm. Once you're done with that, let's get right into it. Don't buy a house in 2022. We know this is a bold statement, but indeed, it might be a terrible investment decision given how tight the market is right now. Starting the year off with a real estate purchase could potentially cripple you financially, not just now, but well into the future. Firstly, there is no best or worst time to buy property. This is because property investment is a process, not just an event. So, instead of just talking about diving in and buying a property in 2022, the right time for you to consider investing is when you have all your ducks in a row. This means that before taking the leap, you should have a strategic property plan so you know where you're heading and what you need to do to achieve your financial goals. Next, set up the right ownership structures to protect your assets and legally minimize your tax. Lastly, prepare a robust finance strategy with a rainy day buffer in place to buy you time. Of course, 2022 is still a great time to invest, but it's not the same case for everyone. There are plenty of factors that determine a property's price performance and growth trajectory, many of which are well outside of your control, and some of which also have nothing to do with the property itself. Let's take a deeper look into these factors. 1. Consumer confidence. When people feel comfortable about their financial situation and their future job prospects, they are more likely to make big purchases like moving home or buying an investment property. Number 2. The economy. The performance and state of the broader economy impacts people's ability to buy and sell property. Number 3. Supply. The basic economic principle of supply and demand is a fundamental property market driver of price growth. Number 4. Local demographics. Things like average incomes, average age, household structure, crime rates, and employment opportunities. And number 5. Population growth, or household formations to be more exact. As when more people move into an area, this equals more demand for housing, whether it's to buy or to rent. Now, as a result of these factors, our property markets move through cycles. This is why we predict that property values should increase throughout 2022, but at a slower rate of growth than 2021. While it doesn't necessarily mean that buying a home will be impossible in 2022, it does mean that you can expect to pay more. But if you're buying either way, keep these factors in mind. A higher price for buyers. House prices will probably increase by 3% in 2022. And while it predicts mortgage rates will rise modestly, this is more likely to impact sales volumes than house prices. If you're going to buy a home in this expensive market, you absolutely have to know how much you can really afford. Commit to staying within that budget no matter what. Don't cave to the pressure to buy just because you're tired of watching competitors pluck good homes off of the market. We know waiting on the right home in your budget can get frustrating, but you'll be glad you did when you have financial peace instead of a big honking headache of a mortgage. There will be stiff competition among home buyers. This is probably the hardest real estate trend to swallow, so brace yourself. Inventory is incredibly low. Inventory, basically the total number of unsold houses, was down just over 16% in November 2021 compared to the previous year. That's partly because a ton of people are looking to buy right now. It's also because fewer sellers are listing their houses for sale. Demand for housing isn't going anywhere. High demand means price trends won't reverse. You can expect prices to continue increasing in 2022, fueled by millennial demand, low interest rates, and low housing inventory levels. Furthermore, there's a huge shortage of housing, along with would-be buyers waiting to jump in. Many of them also have the flexibility to move and work from anywhere, taking advantage of the wide acceptance of remote work brought on by the pandemic. There are also demographics to consider. Millennials are in their prime home buying years and have made up the largest share of buyers during the past few years. Boomers, on the other hand, are at the downsizing range. This creates lots of competition, particularly for smaller and entry-level homes. In short, be ready for a bidding war and come prepared, particularly if you're eyeing a starter home. Waiving contingencies, increasing your offer price, or adding in an escalation clause which automatically increases your offer to a certain point if you're outbid can all help you be more competitive. Mortgage rates will probably be higher. The average mortgage interest rate, or simply the fee lenders charge as a percentage of your loan amount, has been nice and slow lately. In fact, the average rate for a 15-year fixed-rate mortgage dropped to 2.2% in January 2021. Those rates hung out anywhere between 2.15% and 2.4% for the rest of the year. That said, they started rising again toward the end of 2021, so look for them to go up slightly in 2022, too. The Federal Reserve just announced it will start trimming its purchases of bonds and mortgage-backed securities in the coming months. Inevitably, that would mean higher mortgage rates and higher payments for the average home buyer. According to the Mortgage Bankers Association, rates on 30-year loans will likely increase to 3.3% in the first quarter of next year and reach 3.7% by the third quarter. If that 3.7% becomes a reality, a recent analysis from mortgage insurer First American shows that home buying power would drop by about $49,000 per borrower. While this doesn't necessarily mean buying a home will be impossible next year, it does mean you can expect to pay more or will need to lower your price point to account for the higher costs of financing. Sure, interest rates are low right now, which can help with affordability. Just don't let that pressure you into buying a house you aren't ready for. A super low interest rate on a house you can't afford is still a bad deal. Your housing choices may be limited. Low inventory means you need to be on your toes when you go house hunting because the best homes will likely be snatched up fast. Near the end of 2021, most homes spent 47 days on the real estate market and 10 days less than the past year. Housing starts and construction have ticked up, and more foreclosures are starting to hit the market, but there probably won't be a major surge in homes available for sale. After all, the market supply is almost 4 million homes short of demand, and that's a pretty steep hurdle to overcome. That suggests you can probably expect to make some compromises if you're purchasing a home, just as buyers did this year. That might mean offering more than the asking price, considering smaller homes or alternate property types or widening your search geographically. That doesn't leave much time to hem and haw over your home search. If you want to find a good home in this slim market, here's some advice. 1. Sacrifice your home wants. If you can't find the house you want, be willing to give up some nice-to-haves for your must-haves. Find the least expensive home in the best neighborhood you can afford and upgrade over time. Number 2. Expand your search. Is the location where you want to buy too competitive? You might be surprised at the gem you can find in a less popular neighborhood. Working with a real estate agent who really knows the area is the best way to find a home that fits your budget and lifestyle. Number 3. Get pre-approved ASAP. Getting pre-approved for a mortgage before you're house hunting is a must in any market, and it's even more important when your home supply is low. If you don't do this legwork ahead of time in a market like this, you could have a pre-approved buyer free rein to swipe the home you want right out of your hands. With all that being said, a lot of you might be thinking twice on acquiring a property. But to the dauntless ones, here are a few tips to consider for home buyers on 2022. 1. Limit your house payment to no more than 25% of your monthly take-home pay. This payment includes principal, interest, property taxes, homeowner's insurance, and, if your down payment is lower than 20%, private mortgage insurance. Plus, don't forget to count homeowners association fees in your budget. Save at least 10 to 20% for a down payment. We recommend at least 10% because anything less will drown you in extra interest fees. Putting 20% or more down is even better because you can avoid paying PMI, an extra fee added to your mortgage to protect your lender in case you don't make payments. Saving a big down payment like this is possible. You just have to stay patient and focused. Who knows, you might even be able to save for a 5-figure down payment by this time next year. Choose a 15-year fixed-rate conventional mortgage. The lowest cost home loan is a 15-year fixed-rate mortgage. Rip-offs like the 30-year mortgage, FHA, VA, USDA, and adjustable rate mortgages will charge you tens of thousands of dollars extra in interest fees and give you in debt for decades. That doesn't sound ideal. Consider renting to be a power buyer. It is still a seller's market, and sellers like a buyer without an onward chain. Consider putting yourself in the best possible position to move quickly should your dream house arise. This could mean moving into a rental in your dream area. Be realistic. In a tough market, buyers might not get everything they want, so they need to prioritize what is most important to them. Buyers need to manage their expectations as to what is viable and what constitutes their dream home. Not every box will be ticked. All of that said, experts say to be prepared. Do your research ahead of time so you're ready to go when you find the right listing. When buying a home in the next year or longer, it will be important to watch new listings, including coming soon listings, and be very prepared to not only visit that home quickly, but prepare to decide and extend an offer almost immediately. That said, don't overpay. Prices will be up, but that doesn't mean to take something outside of what's reasonable for your budget. Compare home prices from the prior year in your local area to the listings you are currently considering. If the same type of house is listed for significantly more, it makes more sense to wait for something else. Well, that's about it for today's video. If you found this video helpful, do leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified on our latest posts. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.